This is awesome. So I'm going to end the recording. I have an out. We can get it. Okay, thank you so much, guys, for tuning in the podcast. We're streaming now in about 18 countries. We just hit Dubai streaming, and I think it was Panama. So 18 countries in total, and I'm so glad to interview many entrepreneurs, millionaires of every kind of industry. Today, I do have a special guest. Now, Therese is an amazing entrepreneur. She's a professional speaker, consultant. She does a lot of things in the credentialing in the healthcare space, development, leadership, all of that. So I'm excited to pick her brain today. So welcome, Therese.
Thank you so much. I can't wait.
I know, I'm excited. We're here. Took a few tries, but we're here. But tell us, our audience loves to find out more about every guest that I have. So can you jump in a little bit about your background a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So I'll try to keep it really short, but I kind of grew up in the healthcare space. I started off as a secretary in a medical staff office, what feels like 100 years ago. Grew in my career in just different roles, working primarily in the hospital side, transitioned over to staffing about 8 years ago. And then fast forward in time, something kind of big happened, and it really led me to start my kind of entrepreneurial journey. And so now what I do is as you said, I'm a professional speaker, but I also work with organizations to help them build confidence in their leadership teams so that they can outperform the competition. Now that's just a one sentence line there, but when you dig deep, that means so many different things. And based on the organization that I'm working with, it would require specific things from me. But overall, that's what I do with organizations that I consult with. And then I'm a professional speaker, and I talk a lot about that confidence and leadership, and confidence in women who are in leadership, and so on. So that's me in a very short nutshell.
No, that's perfect, because you pivoted. You had to pivot to find out where your spot was, like your passion is. I mean, even though you do love what you do in the credentialing part, has speaking made you more of like, hey, I love this too. I can do this forever. Has it made you feel better about yourself?
Oh my gosh, yes. And what's so interesting, and if I could, I'll kind of tell you how I ended up here. I ended up here because, again, like I said, I was in healthcare. I was a leader in healthcare for 20 years.
Long time.
Yeah, very long time. And then in 2021, after talking about a potential promotion for a while, I finally mustered up the courage to actually ask for the promotion. So I put together like a pitch. I had everything. I had a deck. I did all the things. I'm like all about PowerPoint. And I made my boss aware of the fact that we were going to have that conversation. I was going to bring the data and all that. Sent him the deck. We had a call Monday morning, and 5 minutes into my pitch presentation with my deck on the screen, HR joined the call. Wow. And I was actually fired.
Wow.
So I was actually fired on the same day that I was asking for a promotion. And I share that to say that a lot of times people see me today, or they see other entrepreneurs today, and they think, oh my gosh, how do you must be like this spectacular rock star person. But the truth is, I don't think that I would have ever had the courage to try this had that not happened. And the truth is that when that happened, I struggled, and I struggled a lot. And I always struggled with self-confidence. Now I know the term imposter syndrome, struggled with that. And the one time that I said, okay, I'm going to push past this and go for what I think I deserve, I was terminated. And what happened in that moment is all the things that I was saying to myself about myself was confirmed in that one sentence: you're terminated. And so it took a lot of work to build myself back up. So to answer your question in terms of how has speaking played a role for me, well, just business ownership in general, it forces you, or it forced me, to recognize the value that I bring. And that's very different than feeling like you don't belong or feeling like an imposter. And so building this business from nothing and after a termination really forced me to find my value and to appreciate my value. And the speaking piece really just happened because in my consulting work, I just kept getting asked the same questions over and over and over again. And I realized that a lot of leaders, I wasn't the only one, but a lot of leaders are struggling with self-confidence. In
Yeah.
fact, it's something like 78%, as of like earlier this year,
Wow.
78% of leaders who are in leadership roles in Fortune 500 companies are struggling with self-confidence. And that has some serious consequences financially for these organizations. It's something like billions of dollars
Yes, it is.
lost because of this. So for me personally speaking, definitely has helped me build my confidence. But
Yeah.
man, seeing it build a confidence in someone else is just like, it's
It's
just my
better.
sweet spot. It's my sweet spot. It makes me smile all day, every day.
Oh.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And that's good because you're helping people at the end of the day. I think that the numbers you're telling me are so sad because CEOs and leaders, I mean, they go through so much just to build a company, and you do get lost building a company. It's like a baby, and you're kind of like, where am I now? Who am I? Is this the
Yes.
right thing I'm doing? And how can, or have you seen that in clients? Have you seen like a pattern? Like entrepreneurs right now in today's world, after COVID, so much changed, right? Everybody
Mhm.
kind of went into the digital space, but what do you see that they should work on the most? I know you said confidence, but is there something underlying? Maybe it's family issues, maybe it's monetary issues. Do you see like a pattern?
Well, I think that if I had to say the two things to continue to focus on or work on would be learning and
Yeah.
flexibility. Learning and flexibility. That's it. Because again, when you think about either entrepreneurship or lack of confidence
Yeah.
or fear or anxiety, it all comes down to the fact that we don't think we know enough. We don't feel
Exactly.
confident in our level of knowledge, and so that's a really easy way to tackle that by always learning, right?
Yeah.
Always making sure, even if you're considered the expert, which I
Exactly.
don't know that anybody ever is the expert.
Yeah.
I think we're all continuously learning and teaching. So I think if you focus on that, but then also to, again, flexibility. If it's one thing that I see amongst my colleagues who are entrepreneurs, the ones who are successful
Right.
are the ones who are flexible, the
Yes.
ones who get it that things are constantly changing, needs are constantly changing. So even if you bring this to the table today and it's great and everyone needs it, that's going to change, and
Yeah.
your ability to change and be flexible
Yes.
is huge. And so, and you see it, right? I mean, you always hear the things like, well, Blockbuster, right? Where is
Yes.
Blockbuster? Right? Because they had a model, it worked for a very long time, but things were changing and they didn't change with it. And so as a
Exactly.
result, they're no longer a thing. And so I think those are the two things, is just focusing on your learning and
Yeah.
focusing on being flexible and paying
Yes.
attention to what is out there and what's actually needed. And it's okay to pivot. It is.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you, from 2021 to today, my business model and offerings have
Preach.
changed more than I think I've changed like outfits. I mean,
Yeah.
it's because I'm constantly trying to figure out not only my niche, but to figure out how to better or to best serve the people
Right.
and the organizations I work with. And that requires change on my part and requires a lot of learning as well.
And I absolutely agree with that. I think, and I talk about this all the time with people that I've had already, entrepreneurs. I tell them, if you don't change, you're going to basically die out. And that's what a
Yes.
lot of older businesses and older people that I've met, they're so stuck on their old ways. And I tell them, AI is coming. A lot of things are going to start changing. You have to change with the times.
Yes. And that's the thing. And you mentioned AI, and that is something that I'm seeing a lot too. There's a lot of fear around it. There's this
Hmm.
fear that AI is going to take our jobs and
Yes.
we're going to no longer be relevant. And I heard someone say this at a conference a couple months ago, and I thought, that is it. AI is not going to take your job. AI is not going to take your business. If you're a business owner, who will take your job and your business are the people who learn how to use AI to its full
Exactly. A
advantage.
tool.
That's who's going to take your job, not AI.
Exactly.
AI cannot replace human connection and what
Exactly.
we can do for each other as humans. But AI certainly can be a tool that we can use to actually increase the
Yes.
amount of connection we have and how we serve others. So that's, and I'll tell you, I was one of those, like, I don't know about this
You're like,
AI
whoa.
stuff. I don't know. Like, I'm still trying to figure out how to like put a reel on Instagram. And now you want me to like
Same.
use Chat GPT and all this other stuff. But it's important, and it's a big part of being a business owner, is that you've got to
Yes.
understand that these tools are just going to make you more efficient and faster, and your customers are going to expect it. Your
Yes.
clients are going to expect it. And you can
Yes.
do that without losing what makes you uniquely you.
Unique. No, I
Yeah.
I understand exactly where you're coming from. We're gonna have to learn how to use all these tools, just like TikTok. When TikTok came out, a lot of people are making money out of TikTok, just posting every day and reaching an audience. At the end of the day, is staying authentic, staying true, staying. This is what I know that I'm doing. This is who I'm helping. Like knowing your audience.
That's right. And no
Yeah.
one's ever going to say, I hired Therese because she's got the best tools and AI
Right.
solutions. They're not hiring me for that. They hire
Yeah.
me because they trust me,
Yes.
they like me, they respect me, and I'm helping and I'm supporting them. Now, how I
Exactly.
do it on the back end, they have no idea, and they don't care.
Yeah.
They want to work with me because of who I am, and that's who they want to work with. They want to work with whoever you are, uniquely you. And only you can bring you to the table. And I always tell people that don't compare yourself. Don't try to be like that other person out there that's got a jillion followers and doing their thing,
Yeah.
because only you can bring you to the table.
Exactly.
Nobody else.
And you know what? I see that a lot, especially when I, interview guests, podcast guests, and I've had several people that are like, "Oh, well, how many followers do you have? Are you already at 1 million?" And I tell them, that's probably not even real. A lot of people don't have actual million followers. It's just to look, they could look good. That doesn't
Yeah,
matter. Even if it's 3,000 people, those 3,000 people are engaging. A big
that's
part of them
right.
are engaging, and it's not about the numbers at the end of the day. It's who's listening, and people are listening.
Yes. Like, I don't even know. I think I have a few thousand followers on LinkedIn or something. But to your
Yes,
point, it's not something that I pay a whole lot of attention to. What I pay attention to is who's engaging with me, what questions I can answer. And I always try to share something that I think would bring value. And a lot of times, if
exactly.
you follow me on social media, you'll see I'm sharing just the stuff that's going down in my life in that moment. And what you'll find is a lot of people are going through the same things. And so that's what resonates with people. Not so much, I'm only going to follow her if she's got 1 million followers. No,
Yeah,
nobody really
yeah.
cares.
Nobody get it. I think in today's world, we're looking for more authentic, more people that you can connect with. We're kind
Yes.
of like done with the influencers already. We just want to get, to the base point of like mental health. And that kind of goes to my next question. You did talk about imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Why does that happen? Do you know like why we get imposter syndrome when we're doing good?
Listen, do we have 5 hours? Because it's going to take about that much time.
Yeah.
Why it happens varies, right?
Yeah.
It's based on your individual experience,
Yeah.
on this planet. It really does. It's based on your gender, it's based on background, it's based on where you work, it's based on so many different things. Because let me just say this. When we hear the words imposter syndrome, I'm willing to bet most people that hear this think they envision a woman,
Yes.
right? But the reality is, men experience it just as much as women do. Almost statistically, we're almost like neck and neck when it comes to
Yeah.
imposter syndrome. The difference is how we project it into the
Right.
world and into the workplace. And so, why or how we got here, it really, who knows, right? There's so many different things. For me in particular, I know it came from some of the experiences I had in childhood, some
Yeah.
of the things that I've struggled with, and self-esteem things that I struggle with. And it just kind of, I never addressed it. And
Yeah.
so when I went into the workplace as a woman in the workplace, then there were all these other things coming at me because I'm a woman in the workplace. And let's
Yeah.
be honest, let's keep it real, y'all. Women face unique challenges in the workplace. And that's not
Exactly.
an opinion, that's a fact. You look it up,
Fact.
you'll see that. So that just contributes to the already existing things that, that was there for me. And so
Right.
that's kind of how I ended up with my, feeling like an imposter, and I didn't even realize it. So everybody is different,
Right.
but the key here is not, well, partially, yes, you want to try to figure out how you got here, but you have to recognize that you are here, and you have
Yes.
to accept that you
Yes.
do have some ownership in this experience, and you can do things. I won't say to overcome, because I don't think that you can ever overcome imposter syndrome, but I do think that you can build those muscles to get
Yes.
stronger at identifying when these things happen, what triggers this inside of you, so that your recovery time and your reaction to it will be quicker and easier. So,
Yes.
how we got here, who knows? But recognizing that you're here and recognizing that you have control over your experience is, in my opinion, the most important thing.
No, that's beautifully said, because it is true. We just have to believe that we worked hard. I mean, it doesn't happen overnight. That we work hard to build businesses, not just businesses, but also to influence people. And I think that you fit right in the mold by being a speaker and consultant, because that's a perfect match to just have your gigs and as well maybe get clients and get to know people on a deeper level.
Yes, yeah, for sure. And honestly, a lot of the content that I use on stage or in social media comes directly from the experiences I'm having with my clients,
Yeah,
from those conversations that I'm having with leaders who, and I'm telling you, it's not just, frontline leaders or
right.
mid levels. I'm talking like all the way up to
To the top.
executive leadership and
Yeah.
business owners who are making millions of dollars and doing like incredible work. They're struggling with believing they even belong or deserve to be where they are. So don't think for one moment that that person who has that multi-million dollar business on stage, on CNN or wherever, doing all these fancy things, don't think for a minute that they don't struggle at times with self-confidence. They are having the same struggles that you are, whoever
Yeah.
you are, whoever's listening. We all are sharing this thing. 70% of people on this planet experience imposter syndrome at least once in their lives. 70%.
That's a lot.
That's a
Yeah,
lot of people. So
it
that
is.
tells me that we're not unique, and that's
Yeah.
okay. But we need to start talking more about this stuff, not just as business owners, but as people, as friends, as colleagues, and as leaders.
No, and I can tell you that, like you said, even people that are, I've met a billionaire finally on the podcast, and he was the coolest guy. You wouldn't even tell if you walked down the street that he was a billionaire. Super nice guy. And I've met people that are barely hitting maybe like a million in profit that are super rude. So it's either one or the other, right? But I always look back and I say, you know what? I don't know their backstory. They probably struggled a lot just to make a million. And the guy that made a billion, he probably had better networking, connections. There's just so many things that are behind the scenes that go on. But I try not to judge people. If they're there for a reason. They worked hard. They put their efforts and everything they do. So I really think you're right about all that. It just depends of your experience, what's going on in your life.
That's right. And even those people that you encounter who are disrespectful
Yes,
or all of those, what I've honestly found is those are the ones who are probably struggling the most,
the most. Yep.
right? Because they're feeling like there's something for them to prove, and they're struggling the absolute most. And you see this everywhere, even in leadership. And we
Yeah.
call them things like bad leaders or micromanagers, right? How many of us have said, right? Okay.
Yeah. I'm on.
I'm even going to go ahead and say I was a micromanager and a
Yes.
bad leader at least 10 times in my career.
We
And
all
that's,
start that way.
yeah, but it comes from this, deeply seated just lack of confidence oftentimes, because we just don't, we don't know, and we're just trying to figure things out. And
Yep.
it's just, so even with those people who are disrespectful, try to show them some grace,
Yes.
and
Give
and
them
and try
love.
to, yep, and try to and treat them with the same level of respect that you would anyone else, and that you would expect of others, and let them kind of figure it out on, figure themselves out, I guess. So I see that even more so with those folks who are condescending or
Yes.
talking down to others. Oftentimes those are the ones who are struggling more than anyone else in the room.
Yes. Give them Teresa's number.
Right.
Like, I know someone who's gonna love talking to you. I was gonna ask about that a little bit, switching gears, but you're so right. Where do people find you? Because I have a lot of clients that I can actually hook you up with, LinkedIn space, with speaking gigs and things like that. Like, how can people reach out to you?
Yeah. So you can reach out to me on LinkedIn. So I live on LinkedIn. I have
Yes.
some presence on Instagram as well, but I'll be honest, it's just, I can't with the, I tried the dancing
Instagram's
thing
different.
and I was
Yeah.
like, okay, that's not me. So, but I live on LinkedIn and it's just my name. And I'm sure you'll put that in the show notes,
Yes.
but
I'll
it's
put
just,
all that info.
yep, Therese Gopaul-Robinson, and I'm on LinkedIn. You can message me there, or you can just go onto my website, theresegr.com, and it's spelled ThereseGr.com. And you
Yes.
can book some time with me. You can do a 30-minute free consultation with me for your event, or even for your organization. And I'm happy to try to help you solve whatever problem you have.
Yeah, because I mean, like kind of just going back to that point, we work really hard to build businesses and
Yes.
entrepreneurship. This is what we talk about on our podcast. It's not for everyone. That's why I tell people if you love your 9 to 5, stay there, be happy because once you
Yeah.
go into entrepreneurship, it's like the wild, wild west. You're gonna be lost. You're
Oh,
not gonna
yeah.
get paid for a while. If there was a piece of advice you can give entrepreneurs, what would it be?
Well, the first thing I would say is two pieces of advice. If you're considering entrepreneurship and you have a 9 to 5, don't get sucked into this thought that it's all or nothing. You can do
Exactly.
both. You can actually do both. You can, if you love your 9 to 5 and you're like, hey, I want to write a book and I want to speak, you can do both. So don't get sucked into this thought or this mindset that I've got to leave it to pursue my dream. Be careful with that.
Yeah.
So it's okay to do both. And I encourage you to if both things bring you joy. So that's kind of advice number one. And then, as far as for fellow entrepreneurs, the advice that I would give is I would say be patient.
Yes.
That's the biggest one. And that's one that I struggle with. And I
Same.
struggle with that because, hey, look, I am 46 years old. I just started this 3 years ago. And so I'm very, very guilty of trying to do it all at once as quickly as possible because I feel like time's running out. I'm 46, like, but
I swear I thought you were 25.
oh, well, now you are officially my new favorite person.
No, really,
But
you look amazing.
what? But no, but that's it. I would say be patient
Yes.
and be patient with yourself and just wake up every single morning and go after it. Do the little things every single day that will matter in the future. The little things are things like picking up the phone every single day, doing those outbound calls, doing the uncomfortable cold calls and all that stuff, because that is a big part of it. Do not expect that you're just going to sit down and post on LinkedIn and then
That's
everyone's
gonna
going to just
happen.
come
Yep.
flocking to you.
Yep.
That's not how that goes. So I would say be patient and do the hard things, do the little things every single day and be consistent. And
Yeah.
I promise you, things will start to happen and you will build momentum. So that's my biggest piece of advice. Be
Be patient.
consistent, do the little things every single
Yes.
day.
And it's all gonna add up at the end. Those little baby steps, cold calling, it's all about sales at the end of the day. I tell people you have to learn how to sell yourself out here. You have to learn how to put yourself in front of an audience like you do in order for
Yes.
people to gain that trust and to actually get their card and tell you, here, I need your
Yes.
service. I need your help. And we didn't really touch base on the credentialing part that you as well. But if you want to go in it, that's fine as well. That's also something that you can help clients, or is that part of your coaching as well?
Yeah. So
Okay.
with the credentialing piece, so I work with healthcare organizations
Yeah.
who have compliance or credentialing departments, and they normally call me if they either want to build one out or the area is struggling. Maybe there's high client dissatisfaction, high turnover, that sort of thing. So they'll call me and I'll do an assessment and see what I can do to help them kind of improve in that piece of their business. So that's kind of the piece that I do for my organizations. And it always leads to leadership development because the
It always
bottom
leads
line
to that.
is,
Yep.
hey, I tell everybody 100% of the time, I bet you $1. 100% of the time, if you call me because something is broken, if I follow the breadcrumbs, it will
It's gonna go.
always lead me to leadership.
Yeah.
So we can't forget that. But yeah, that's definitely a service that I offer as well, because that's kind of where I grew up. I grew up in that healthcare credentialing space, and it's definitely certainly something I
Help.
still enjoy doing as well, for sure.
No, and it's good to know because, like I said, we're all here to network. At the end of the day, this podcast, we use it as an advertisement on all our platforms. So it's good for people to hear what you do because anybody
Yeah.
that's listening can just go to your website and maybe get in touch with you. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you are an awesome person. You're hardworking. And I think that's what it takes to get here. It's not easy. Like you said, you
Right.
have to find clients all the time. And I think podcasting really helped me. But if there
Yeah.
was just if there was one thing that people would like to know about you, like fun fact, can you let us know what is a fun fact about Therese?
Ooh, fun fact. Okay, let's see. I think I'm pretty fun. Well, let's see. I love photography, and I've actually showed my photography in museums before.
Wow.
That's like a cool fact, not necessarily a fun fact. I'm obsessed with like crime podcasts and like serial killer podcasts. My husband hates it, but
She's like, turn it off.
I literally listen to that all the time. And other than that, I'm enjoying life. It took me a very long time to get to a place where I truly feel gratitude
Right.
and joy every single day in my own skin and in my home and in my life. And so I have fun with my family, and I try to spend a lot of time with my friends and the women in my life who support me and inspire me. And I'm just kind of nerdy. I like here's a nerdy thing. I'm heading out to Nashville this week for work, and a girlfriend is meeting me in Nashville because the two of us are diehard fans of the TV show Nashville. And
Oh
so
wow.
we are going to totally like geek out, nerd out in Nashville. We're doing the Bluebird. We're going to like the house of the star. We're just going to be like total, so I'm just comfortable in my skin, and I don't mind being silly and goofy. And hey, look,
That's what
I'm
makes
just
you
loving
you.
life.
That's awesome. No, but it's
Yes,
good
yes.
because that's like the side. You have a professional side, and we have the whatever side, the silly us side.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's okay for the two of them to get together, right? The
Yeah.
professional and the silly side, because that's the stuff that people will connect to as well. You just being you. And,
Mhm.
and my clients know that I show up on client calls with like my baseball hat on, my Dave Matthews baseball hat on, and sweats, because I'm like, guys, this is how it is. We're going to get work done, but we're going to be comfortable doing it.
Exactly.
So I think it's okay. It's all right to blend the two, and it's okay to be that authentic you, and still be professional and
Yes.
give your clients what they need. And I just thought of another piece of advice. Can I
Yes.
give one more piece of
Yes.
advice? Okay. This is another one, and I just learned this. And gosh, I wish I'd known this before, but it is so important to find people who are kind of in this doing the same thing, entrepreneurs, or like for me, I'm a professional speaker, and so I have professional speakers in my space. But it's so important to find one or two that you would consider part of a mastermind, where
Right.
you guys can meet consistently and talk through your challenges, your goals, what you're doing right now, and how you plan to get things done, because those folks will be your accountability folks. So
Right.
if you don't have that right now as a business owner, find someone to
Yes.
be part of your mastermind and your
Yeah.
accountability, because those people will push you beyond any limit that you ever thought.
Right.
Believe me and trust me when I tell you that. So find that group, find those colleagues that are doing the same thing that you're doing and trying to achieve those big goals, and they will push you to go for the big things.
Yes. Surround
That's my
yourself with
last piece of advice.
no, but surround yourself with like-minded. Yeah, exactly. So like-minded people are gonna get you there. You're gonna outgrow people. You're gonna outgrow friends. You're gonna outgrow family. You
Yes.
love them, but you're like, I gotta go. You gotta keep growing.
Yep, exactly. And that's okay. That's
Yeah.
okay. But you need to be around people who are even just a few steps ahead of you,
Yes.
because they will continue to show you what's possible, and they're going to push you. They're going to
Yes.
challenge you, and they're going to call you out on your nonsense as well, and all of the excuses that you and I both know we can come up with some excuses if we need to. But they'll
Yes.
call you out on that, and they'll push you to really get those goals and create bigger ones. So
Exactly.
find that mastermind group and lean in on them and meet with them consistently.
Yes, and I absolutely agree. And this is exactly what we touch base on the podcast. And I'm really happy and glad that I got to meet Therese. She's an awesome entrepreneur, speaker. Please visit her website, consultant. She is everything. I'll make sure I link on all the. I'll make sure I link it on Spotify, Apple Music, Good Pods. We're still ranking the top 100 entrepreneur podcasts, so I'm excited for that. And reach out to her, guys. And this is awesome. So I'm gonna end the recording. I have an out.